Daf Yomi, Tractate Chullin, page 25a, top of the page, with the words Vafilu Melo Chardal. That it renders impure everything within it, and this is the halacha even if it is full of mustard seeds, in which case most of the seeds do not come in contact with the sides of the vessel, and nevertheless all the mustard seeds become impure. For context, please see the previous Amud on this channel. I started in the middle of something, but it's at the top of the page, so I'm going to continue on with this. Amar lein avad davar rove vihe kli cheres mitamim migaboy mikav choiner uma kol hakelim shemitamim maviron mitamim migabon kli cheres shemitamim yaviroy enodin shemitamim migaboy. Rav Ana bar Ahava said to Rava, and let it be derived that an earthenware vessel becomes impure from contact of an impure item with its outer side by means of a kal v'chomer. That means they call it a fortiori in English, but it means strong and soft. If a soft thing can do it, if a soft thing can withstand the pressure, then for sure a strong thing. If a thing this weak can withstand the pressure, then for sure a strong thing can, for sure. That's what a kal v'chomer is. And it's called a fortiori, so if you hear me say a fortiori, that's what it means. If all other types of vessels, which do not become impure from the presence of an impure item, in their airspace become impure from contact of an impure item with their outer side, then with regard to an earthenware vessel, which becomes impure from the presence of an impure item in its airspace, isn't it logical that it will become ritually impure from contact of an impure item with its outer side? Amar kra v'chol kli pesuach asher ein somid pasil olav zehu kli shetumasoi koidemis lepischoi havyoimer zu kli cheres v'chid ein somid pasil olav v'hu dame hoyesh somid pasil olav toy. The Gemara answers, therefore, the verse states, in every open vessel that has no sealed cover upon it is impure. Numbers 19:15, indicating that its impurity is dependent upon the mouth of the vessel, which is the vessel whose impurity hastily takes effect just after the impure item enters into its mouth. You must say that it is an earthenware vessel. And it is when there is no sealed cover on it that the vessel becomes impure. But when there is a sealed cover on it, the vessel is pure, as the earthenware vessel does not become impure from contact of an impure item with its outer side. Kol hakelim shemitamin migabon enodin shemitamin maviron. The Gemara suggests, and let it be derived that all the other vessels become impure from the presence of an impure item in their airspace by means of an a fortiori inference. If an earthenware vessel which does not become impure from contact of an impure item with its outer side becomes impure from the presence of an impure item in its airspace, with regard to all other vessels which become impure from the contact of an impure item with their outer side, isn't it logical they will become ritually impure from the presence of an impure item in their airspace? The Gemara answers, therefore the verse states, with regard to the carcasses of creeping animals and every earthenware vessel into which any of them falls, Leviticus 11:33, from which it is inferred tocho, meaning in the airspace of this earthenware vessel, renders the vessel impure, and not tocho, the airspace of any other kind of vessel. The Gemara objects, how can the halacha be derived from the term tocho in that verse? But didn't the sages interpret these instances of tocho that appear in that verse and derive, just as in the case of tocho that is stated with regard to transmitting impurity, the food is impure even though it did not come into contact with the vessel? So too, in the case of tocho that is stated with regard to the vessel becoming impure, the vessel is impure even though the impure item did not come into contact with it. Alba toichoi ksivi toichoi toch. Toch. The Gemara explains 4 instances of the term tocho from which halachot can be derived are written. Tocho is written, and toch could have been written. Those are 2 instances. Then later in that verse, once again, tocho is written, and toch could have been written. Excuse me. One instance is to teach the halacha itself, and the vessel renders the food in its airspace ritually impure. And one instance is to teach the verb analogy from which it is derived that the vessel becomes impure without contact with the impure item. And one source is to teach the tocho of the airspace, so this is where vessel renders the vessel impure, and not tocho of any other kind of vessel. And one source is to teach tocho, food in the airspace of an impure, and where vessel becomes impure, but not tocho, not food that is in the airspace of a vessel that is within an earthenware vessel, and even if that inner vessel is one of the other types of vessel purified through rinsing in the water of a ritual bath. Velo yehu kol hakeli mitamin migavon elo mitoichon u'menigia mikal v'choimer u'mak licher shemitamin miviroi eino mitamin migaboi kol hakeli misheim mitamin miviroin eino din shil eino mitamin migavon. The Gemara asks, and let it be derived that all the other vessels do not become impure from contact of an impure item with their outer sides, but rather from the presence of an impure item inside them and with contact with their inner sides by means of an a fortiori inference. If an earthenware vessel, which becomes impure from the airspace of an impure item, in its airspace does not become impure from contact of an impure item with its outer side, with regard to all other vessels which do not become impure from the presence of an impure item in their airspace, isn't it logical that they do not become impure from contact of an impure item with their outer side? Amar kra v'chol kli pasuach asher ein sumit pasil lo tamehu hai hu dichi ein sumit pasil lo tameh. יש צמיד פסיל עליו תואר, או כל הכלים בין שיש צמיד פסיל עליהם, בין שאין צמיד פסיל עליהם, מטעמים. The Gemara answers, therefore, the verse states, and every open vessel that has no sealed cover upon it is impure. Numbers 90:15, from which it is derived. This is the word vessel, see Leviticus 11:33, is the one that when there is not a sealed cover upon it is impure, but when there is a sealed cover upon it, it is pure. But with regard to all the other vessels, whether there is a sealed cover upon them or whether there is not a sealed cover upon them, they become impure. That's it for the Talmud, and now we start a new Mishnah. Zog the Mishnah, Tohe b'chli eitz, Tome b'chli matachos. The Mishnah says that which is ritually pure in wooden vessels is ritually impure in metal vessels. And that which is ritually pure in metal vessels is ritually impure in wooden vessels. And now the Talmud. Zog de Heilige Gemara, Tanu Rabbanon. Gol mekliet tamein pshutein toirin. Gol meklim atoich toir pshutein tamein im satoir v'chleet Alright, we start the Gemara. The sages taught an explanation of the Mishnah. Unfinished wooden vessels that are receptacles and are fit for use, but work remains to complete their crafting, are susceptible to becoming impure. Flat wooden utensils are not susceptible to impurity. Unfinished metal vessels are not susceptible to impurity. Flat metal utensils are susceptible to becoming impure. It is found that which is ritually pure in wooden vessels is ritually impure in metal vessels. That which is ritually pure in metal vessels is ritually impure in wooden vessels. Kol shi'asi l'shuf Lishabetz Lagrer Lecharkev Lehatiach Betunas Mechusar kan o ogen o ozen Tome Mechusar chatito toil. And these are the unfinished wooden vessels. Any vessel that one plans in the future to smooth, to set gems or ornaments in it, to plane it, to adorn it with grooves or protuberances, to rub it and smooth it with the skin of a tuna. Tuna. Wow. With the skin of a tuna. Or, if it is lacking a base or a rim or a handle, the vessel is susceptible to becoming impure. The vessel is lacking the hollowing necessary to render it a receptacle. It is not susceptible to impurity. The Gemara asks, isn't it obvious that if the vessel is lacking hollowing, it is not susceptible to becoming impure, as it is clearly not a vessel? The answer is no. It is necessary only in a case where one hollowed 3 log in a receptacle that he intends to hold 1 kav, which contains 6 log. Even though it is a receptacle, since the receptacle is incomplete, it is not susceptible to impurity. Okay, we're starting a new idea, so we'll stop here and start with the next Amud, which will be the last few words of this one.